Hey, what's going on, guys? It's David here from Genzio. We're in Denver, Colorado at ETHDenver, and I'm with my guy, Guy. Guy, how are you, man?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Awesome. It is ETHDenver, day 3.
Yeah.
It's been high anticipation of this conference and wondering whether it would be good or not. And I got to say, for me, it's been absolutely great.
Everybody I've talked to, like, the first question they were asking is like, how is ETHDenver? How is the vibe? How is the mood? I was pleasantly surprised. I came with like low expectation, and I think it's like pretty awesome.
No, I mean, it really is. Mentioned you had an event yesterday. How did that go?
Very nice. So we are building a privacy as a layer infrastructure. We'll talk more about that. We invited a good amount of people in the Barcelona wine bar. I think wine bar always kills it. Like, we don't need to do a lot. Just tell people you're bringing them to a wine bar, and they'll come. But really, the ones that we wanted to target came. Really good conversations. Privacy is up.
Privacy's up.
Yeah.
Privacy is important.
It is important. Yeah. I think there are like people have this misperception about privacy. Sometimes they think it's, either very slow, very complex, or even done, for people to have tax evasion, which it's not. I'll give you more information about like how we deal with all that.
Awesome, man. Well, you're here for a reason. I'd love for you to take this moment now to give us a bit of an intro as to what it is that you are building and what you are a part of.
Perfect. Yeah. So just a little bit of background about myself. I worked for many years in the privacy space. I was leading all initiatives around trusted execution environment when I worked at Intel, and then later on, a good amount of chunk of cryptography. And about 3 years ago, I decided it's time to take a shift and move back from corporate America to where privacy is really needed, which is Web3 and blockchain. And I joined partners with Guy Itzhaki, another guy. I know
Another guy.
Same first name can be confusing.
Hey.
He's really one of the OGs.
Is he a good guy?
He's an amazing guy. He actually built Secret Networks, which was one of the first privacy-preserving chains in the Cosmos ecosystem. And we started Fhenix. And the goal was to introduce privacy in a very easy-to-consume way, but also in a way that does not require any trust. It's pure cryptography. And that's what we do today in Fhenix. The first product that we built was a layer 2. Which was targeting developers to come and build on us if they want to bring privacy to their decentralized application. Very quickly, we figured out that another L2 doesn't make sense. There are so many of them. Grabbing attentions of developers is super hard. And we shifted towards privacy as a service. So our product today is a coprocessor called Coffee, Co-FHE, because we're using an encryption technology called Fully Homomorphic Encryption. And it connects to EVM chains very easily, and allow developers who are building applications to get confidential smart contracts very quickly. Why do we care? Because if you think about the product market fit that we're seeing in Web3 today, a lot of it is around stablecoin, payments, decentralized application for financial institutes. This is where privacy becomes like a requirement for many of them, and that's where we're here to solve.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Now, privacy, as we mentioned before, is, very important, clearly. When did you kind of get this like, hey, I'm going to jump into the privacy world? When did that happen?
It's probably the least sexiest thing, privacy. When you try to explain to people what it is, it's not like one of these things that people think, hey, I'll go into privacy, I'll make shitload of money. We're not there. It's something that I've done for, I think, over 10 years, just because I do believe that this is a fundamental component in everything that we do, not just from a human right. A lot of people, they come to the privacy space because they think about like, let's protect user's identity. Look, we're all using Google, we're all using Gmail, everything that we do is exposed. But from a business value, there is like, it's a must requirement for maintaining edge over your competitor.
Yeah.
And this is where we're really coming to bring privacy in a way that brings the value. But in order for people to deploy it, you need to make it very easy for them in a way that it's even transparent, that nobody can even understand that it's private. And there's been a lot of efforts trying to solve the privacy challenges, multiple cryptographies and technologies. We just felt that none of them was the right fit.
Yeah.
And that's the reason we started Fhenix.
Okay. What are some of the biggest things right now in terms of privacy that you guys are trying to solve, Because I don't think that, I don't know. You would know a lot much better than me, but as you're still building, there's still things to solve. So what else is missing in terms of this, fixing the privacy problem?
So I think it's important first to understand what is privacy.
Yeah.
Because like people hear about privacy and it sounds, confusing and unclear. When we talk about privacy, we talk about two things. One is anonymity, hiding the identity of the person who does the transaction. And the other one is about confidentiality, hiding the content of the transaction. So anonymity, projects like Railgun are doing a really good job. And when you do a transaction, you don't know who did the transaction. We're not here to solve that. We are here to bring confidentiality. And the reason we're focusing on that space is because where we think the main demand is, and if you think about institutionals, the like of JP Morgan Chase and Robinhoods and a lot of them that were starting to move into the Web3 space, they actually want to maintain compliance. So they want to have the ability to do KYC and AML. They want to know who did the transaction, but they want the content of the transaction to be private. So when you look at the Block Explorer, if I transfer you money, they will see that there is a transaction between the both of us, but you wouldn't be able to see the content of the transaction. And that gives you both privacy and meeting compliance requirement that's in it. That's the overall, plan that we're here to solve. How do we do it is really the secret sauce. And you've asked me about some of the problems that we need to solve. So first of all, just bringing the right technologies. Like, it always starts from the underlying technology. Very strong cryptography called Fully Homomorphic Encryption, which I know is a mouthful. People don't understand what does homomorphic mean. Kind of a funny story that I said yesterday. I was in Consensus last week, and we went and asked people what they think Fully Homomorphic Encryption is, and specifically what homomorphic is. We got like weird answers. It sounds like a dumpling. We don't understand
It
what
sounds
it
like
is.
a dumpling?
Yeah, somebody said it sounds like a dumpling that has porks and chocolate in it. But the Fully Homomorphic Encryption is a really amazing cryptography. It's been out there for 15 years. It actually enables you to compute over data which is encrypted, which is a bit like magic because we were always taught that if you encrypt something, it's meaningless. You can't do anything with it. But with FHE, Fully Homomorphic Encryption, you encrypt the data homomorphically, and you can actually compute over that data and get an encrypted result. And that changes the entire paradigm of how we think, because now we can actually operate blockchains with full privacy if needed. Full homomorphic encryption, FHE has been out there for 15 years, but was always considered very complex and very slow. So the first part is just removing the complexity and just making it performant. Our solution today is Solidity-based. Developers, they don't need to understand FHE. If I had to bet for developers to understand FHE, I think, we can't operate the business around it. So it's fully Solidity. They use the same tools that they're using when they're building applications today. It's very, very easy to build confidential smart contract. The second part is just making the cryptography much more faster, and that's something that Leave already did an amazing job with improving it with hardware, but also just improvements on the cryptography part is the next tier. Third tier is building the product, because at the end of the day, cryptography doesn't, it's cryptography. You actually want to bring a product that developers can use. That's our FHE coprocessor. And we enable users on Arbitrum base and Ethereum now to get confidential smart contracts very, very easily. We can scale it to additional EVM chains very, very quickly. You also bring an SDK to make life of the developers significantly easier. I'll give you an example of one of the features of our next SDK, which is a very interesting ability for stablecoin issuers to have a shielded and unshielded mode on the stablecoin. So think about a stablecoin issuer, they issue that stablecoin. Now you, as the holder of that stablecoin, can decide if you want the stablecoin to be unshielded, when everybody can see it, or have a shielded mode, and then you can send it to somebody else, or hold it and nobody would know the balance or the content of the transaction. This is quite powerful because now...
Yeah, now you're going to get people that don't mean to interrupt, but now you're going to get people engaging that want to send, they want to use this specifically to be able to have that privacy.
100%. Because like if I would come and say, look, it can only be private, they would use this stablecoin, but what would be the utility? Like, how would they be able to get like yield on it? If they want to connect it to projects like Athena, etc., they don't support the shielded mode yet. They will in the future, but they don't yet. So having this shielded, unshielded mode solves that problem very, very quickly. Credit cards or crypto cards now can start operating and offering private payments with this card. So all of these are like building blocks that we're bringing into the mix. And then the last piece of the puzzle is just education, bringing on the DeFi protocols, the institutionals, to start adopting these capabilities.
Okay. And, it's very interesting, but who would you say is your guys' main users, for example?
So it's definitely not retails. I mean, retails will eventually,
Yeah.
they'll use it as the end customer. But today we're aiming builders who are building projects, as well as institutionals and DeFi protocols that are out there. So if you're building a payment application, if you're building the lending protocol, an OTC, a dark pools, these are like top of the builders and projects that we're targeting in that regards. On the institutional part, there's a lot of interest in payments, stablecoin, cross-border payments, and that's where we're talking to many of them on that regards. RWA tokenization is another one.
Yeah, and that's a huge wave right now. People are riding that. A lot of conversations I'm able to have are about RWAs, right?
Yeah.
So I think people as well that are building with RWAs are going to be a little bit more like concerned about privacy rather than your average Joe, I think.
Yeah, and there is always this conception of, okay, we add privacy, it makes sense, but does it like make us non-compliant? And that's the beauty of coming to them and telling them, you can actually have both. You can have privacy and still keep compliance. That allows you to get this competitive edge over your competitors, maintain your alpha, enable your end users to be protected, even if they don't know it at the end of the day.
Okay. And now what can people be excited about this year coming from you guys? Anything you guys want to announce?
Yeah, so a month ago, we released a paper about a new FHE scheme that we're building, which we have a lot of faith in. FHE as a cryptography is amazing. It's quantum safe, which I think is going to be, the next thing in blockchain. We're going to see a lot more on it in the next couple of years. The good thing about FHE is that it's based on lattice-based cryptography, which is considered quantum resistance at this point. So that's really exciting. The new schemes that we've released in the white paper shows how we can reach to tens of thousands of transactions per second and very low latency for operations. There's a lot of work still to take it from a white paper to actual production, but that's a lot of the work that we're actually doing in 2026. We have a few releases of the SDK that are coming up, which I think each of them is amazing. And then in general, we'll strive to get into mainnet. So there's a lot of work in now getting into mainnet in 2026.
Awesome, man. And now where can our viewers follow you guys to stay up to date?
Phenix.io, which is, the perfect place, or follow us on X. I do feel that like privacy is becoming more and more important. People understand the value. There is a lot to learn and there is a lot to like.
Absolutely. Well, Guy, thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, what's up?
But it's not something Genzio is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a hive.
No, we do not understand.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We're back at the Genzio Media House.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.